Hey y'all, Austin here with Our World Media. Welcome back to another book review, guys. This is one that's been a long time coming. I have finally finished this trilogy, and I gotta say, it's a little bittersweet that I will not get to read about this character anymore. But it is nice to have finally finished this trilogy and get the possible conclusion. I'm sure at some point, at least I'm hoping we will get more books that will have this character in it. But until then, I hope you guys enjoy this video, this review, and that is for Stephen Graham Jones, The Angel of Indian Lake. Now, let's set this here real quick. I'm going to cover old Stevie. As you can see, this is an autograph edition. I did buy this book from my local Second and Charles, like the month it came out, and I've waited until now, October, to read this book. And over the last couple months, I have been rereading this trilogy up until the grand conclusion that is The Angel of Indian Lake. Now, just gonna let you guys know there is gonna be some slight spoilers in this review over the trilogy because again, this is the last book, so I can't talk about this book and not talk about the first two. But let's get into it, guys. What did I think of The Angel of Indian Lake? Well, actually, let me say, what is The Angel of Indian Lake about? Well, this does follow our main character from the first two books in the series, Jade Daniels. She is back in Proof Rock, Idaho, and Jade is now a teacher. She has grown up. It's been 8 years since the initial incident, and so we are seeing Jade at an older age. She's in her mid 20s. She has grown quite a bit as a person, but she's still dealing with the grief from the initial book, the first book in the series, that is My Heart is a Chainsaw, as well as the second book, Don't Fear the Reaper. Jade is definitely a character, that she has some issues as far as the fact that she blames herself for everything that's happened, to Proof Rock, Idaho, to her friends, to her family. She's dealing with the after effects still all these years later of what happened. Again, she is a teacher now, and so Jade, like I said, is teaching, and she kind of notices that stuff's starting to happen again, and she is in disbelief. She can't believe that it's happening again, and she wants nothing to do with it. She doesn't want to get involved, but ultimately she does. And again, this is a book. This does take place in October on Halloween. Specifically, is about the time that this takes place. Now, kind of getting into the big part of this book. What, at least for me, what I was trying to get out of this book. The horror aspect. I'm not gonna lie, I was let down. The idea of what happens in this book, if you read the blurb, it talks about like a cult. It talks about the girl in the lake. It talks about serial killers. I was let down by this book. I'm not gonna lie. There's like zombies in this book, like a possessed zombie aspect to this book. I really don't know how to describe this book a whole lot, to be honest with you guys, outside the fact of what I told you at the beginning of this video. Jade is an adult now. She's dealing with the after effects of what happened in the previous two books. She's trying to deal with that as well as move on. And again, I don't know. This book didn't do it for me. I read this book in like a week and a half is what it took me to read this, which is uncommon in this trilogy. The first two books, I flew through them. Again, and it's nothing against Mr. Jones. I know he, like any author, tries to write the best book they can. Again, I was let down by this book. I'm not gonna lie. I was really hoping for a big final showdown. Something that we haven't seen yet, maybe. And again, it was okay. Now, I'm not gonna lie, there are a couple scenes in this book where he describes an interaction with a character or this or that entity, and the way he describes it kind of gives you a little bit of a creeps. I'm not gonna lie. I remember, one night I was reading. It was like 12:30 at night. I was sitting out in my living room reading, just my little light reading, and he's describing a character and how they look in the atmosphere, and I got a little creeped out. So it does deliver on that aspect, but again, I was just, I don't know. Unfortunately, I was let down by this book. I would probably give this book, and I know a lot of people, I'm gonna get a lot of hate for this. I would probably give this book like a 2.5 star. I mean, again, was really let down. I absolutely loved the first two books. This one, again, just let down. And I know this is a shorter review than the other two books. Again, there are, as usual, horror movie references in this book and whatnot. But again, there were a couple scenes where something happened, and I was like, oh, holy crap, like that. And that's kind of the saving grace of this book, really, is Mr. Jones takes the Scream aspect and approach to this. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, if you watch the first three Scream movies, the original trilogy of Scream movies, Randy will kind of tell you the ins and outs of horror movies and how it's the third movie in the series. It's the third, everything's different. We go back to our past. We go back, nobody's safe. Anything could happen. Anybody could die. It's gorier. It's more heinous. It's more disturbing, and that really is the case in this book. But again, I was just kind of let down. By when I finished the book, I was like, well, okay. I mean, this happened to this happened and this happened. But besides that, I felt a little, like I said, I felt let down, unfortunately, and I could just keep, sitting here, sound like a broken record, repeating myself. But I'm gonna end it on that again. The Angel of Indian Lake, gonna give it a 2.5 star. Like I said, don't let that deter you though. Read the book for yourself. As always, I will say, read it for yourself. Hopefully you like it. I hope you enjoy it more than I did. Again, just a little let down by this book. I know Mr. Jones has been 3 for 3 for me for the books that I've read this year. Granted, 2 of them were rereads, but you know what? It is what it is. Not every book, and everybody's gonna have a home run 100% of the time. So it is what it is. As always, y'all have a good one. Thank you.